While we await the final report from the January 6th committee on Donald Trump's failed coup attempt, we can't overlook that there's also been a quieter coup, the less transparent, gradual, long game that doesn't always get the cameras or congressional hearings. That is the Republican Party's attempt to seize power by stealing your vote. They did this long before the insurrection in states like Georgia, where Governor Brian Kemp, surrounded solely by white men, signed the state's voter suppression law under a painting of a plantation where black Americans were once enslaved. If the new Old South and the governor's intentions could be expressed in a photo, well, there you have it. Democrats and voting rights activists branded Georgia's new election law Jim Crow 2.0. The law cut in half the time allowed between a general election and a runoff. It reduced early voting locations and voting hours and placed limits on voting by mail. It even made it against the law to approach a voter standing in line with food or water. Despite all of this voter suppression, the state's first black senator, Raphael Warnock, has won 2 elections and 2 Georgia runoffs, victories harnessed by activists like Stacey Abrams, LaTosha Brown, and the same black women who helped flip the state blue 2 years ago. But runoff elections have racist roots. Georgia and Louisiana are the only states that use runoffs for general elections. As the Washington Post points out, Georgia's system was created in 1964 at the urging of Denmark Groover, a vocal segregationist determined to suppress black political representation. While runoff elections had existed for decades in Southern primaries, Georgia's enthusiastic adoption of 2-round voting came as a way of ensuring a conservative white candidate won an election, said Ashton Ellett, a political historian and activist at the University of Georgia. A runoff makes it harder for folks who have fewer resources to vote. And that system worked in the Republicans' favor for decades. That is, until the last 2 elections, where it was the Democratic candidates who won. So perhaps it should come as no surprise to anyone that all of a sudden, Georgia's Republican Secretary of State is now calling for an end to the use of runoff elections, claiming it puts a strain on election workers. Joining me now is Stacey Abrams, founder of Fair Fight, former Democratic nominee for Georgia governor, and author of the new children's book, Stacey's Remarkable Books. I cannot wait to talk about that. We're going to do that in a second. But I do want to play for you and welcome you back to the show and play for you what Senator Warnock said in his victory speech after the second time he won a runoff.
Just because people endured long lines that wrapped around buildings, some blocks long, just because they endured the rain and the cold and all kinds of tricks in order to vote, doesn't mean that voter suppression does not exist. It simply means that you, the people, have decided that your voices will not be silenced.
And Stacey, I feel like Georgia has been sort of, zone central for this game of keep away that people like Brad Raffensperger and Brian Kemp, when he was Secretary of State, use to keep making it, okay, you vote this way, now we're going to make that illegal. Then you vote that way, we're going to make that illegal. Okay, you vote that way, we're going to make that illegal. And they just keep trying to move the ball. And then because people surmount all of the odds, they say, oh, there's no voter suppression. What do you make of this ability to gaslight the public that these long lines, which I'm going to show you now, mean, oh, no, everyone can vote?
It's what I've been saying for the last 4 years and what I will continue to say until we have a voting rights law that actually protects the voters of America. And that is that voter suppression is baked into the DNA of our election system. But so is the persistence that we see from voters who are willing to fight against that and the ignominy. We see voters who are turning out and who are pushing forward despite the obstacles and the false equivalence that says that what happened on January 6th and the conversation about voter suppression or of a peace is completely absurd. We know that what happened on January 6th was about denying the voices of the people. But the fight for against voter suppression is about lifting up those voices and giving them primacy, because in a democracy, your ability to participate should not be impeded. And we should take that as a first principle. And I'm proud of the work that we continue to do to keep that front and center in this conversation.
And to your point about January 6th, I mean, Jack Smith, the special counsel, is actually subpoenaing records and wants to talk to the Brad Raffenspergers of the world and Brian Kemps. This is still happening, right? The insurrection that happened, the more open insurrection that happened, is now the subject of both a state and a federal investigation. What do you make of the fact that Georgia became the center of the attempt to steal the election, and these elected officials in your state are still on the hook to discuss it with special counsel and also with Fani Willis in the state of Georgia?
I'm glad that Georgia continues to be ground zero for the conversation about protecting democracy. But I think we have to widen the aperture of our lens. We have to pay attention not only to what's continuing with that investigation, but we have to look at what's in front of the Supreme Court. The Merrill case, which is being argued, would eliminate Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. That means that in Georgia, in Texas, in Florida, majority-minority districts could be eliminated through midterm redistricting. We have to look at the Moore decision, which would give state legislators and the governors basically the imprimatur to change federal election laws without judicial review at the state level. And when you read these things together, we have got to move our eyes beyond the spectacle that has been Donald Trump to the wider attack on our democracy and our ability to participate in elections. Every one of those votes matter. Every one of those voices matter. And every one of those elections matter.
Well, I have to tell you, sister, you have been at this since 2014 when I first met you. You are sort of the Moses of getting Georgians to be able to vote. You made it to the mountaintop and that didn't get to your goal of becoming governor, but you are owed a huge debt of gratitude for everything that you have done to make it possible for millions, tens of millions of people to vote in this country. So I'm giving you your flowers right here while you're here in front of me. But I want to go on and talk about this book. You've written a children's book. The cover is beautiful. So tell me about this book and the little girl in it whose name happens to be Stacy.
Well, it is a companion to Stacy's Extraordinary Words, which is my first picture book. This one is about a story that actually happened. It was about my friend Julie Doe, who hopefully is watching this somewhere. She and her family, they were refugees from Vietnam in Mississippi in the 1970s. And she and I became friends. She was struggling to read English. I was struggling to, talk to other kids because I was a little reserved and awkward. And it's about how we connected. But it's also a celebration of the differences, of the diversity in our society, about why children should be our lodestars for how we learn together and grow together. And it's also an homage to my parents, my mom, who's a librarian, and my dad, who struggled to learn to read because he had undiagnosed dyslexia, but both of whom taught me to love reading, love stories, and love words. And so this is my love letter to my parents and to my friend Julie Doe.
I can't wait to read it. And if I couldn't love you more, your mom being a librarian seals the deal. Because, I love a librarian. So big ups to your wonderful parents. Stacey Abrams, big ups to you, my sister. And everybody check out the book. I can't wait to have a copy and give it as gifts. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.